precisely 6:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News edited by Danushka Madhavala and read by Sharifa Tahir. Headlines. Dates for calling of nominations for the local government elections will be announced today. All Ceylon Private Bus Owners Association says that though the diesel prices were reduced, it is impossible to reduce the bus fares. Sri Lanka State Minister for Finance discloses measures taken for rapid economic reforms. The President orders loss-making Sri Lankan Airlines and CPC to justify bonus payments. Gazette declaring health, fuel and power essential services extended. Foreign news, China criticizes political rules for its tourists. In sports, India beat Sri Lanka by 2 runs at the first T20 match. We move on to local news in detail now. Chairman of the Elections Commission, Nimal Punjiheva, says that dates for calling of nominations for the local government elections will be announced today. Speaking to the national radio, he said that district secretaries will act as returning officers when calling nominations. Director General of the National Transport Commission, Dr. Nilan Miranda, says that bus fare revisions will be announced today. Diesel prices have been reduced by almost 25 rupees per litre for the past 2 occasions. The Commission said that the new fares will be announced after considering both diesel prices reductions. The calculations were carried out yesterday and it was scheduled to send to the Transport Ministry yesterday. Meanwhile, Chairman of the All Ceylon Private Bus Owners Association, Gamanu Vijayaratna, says that though the diesel prices were reduced, it is impossible to reduce the bus fares. He said that due to the present conditions, the private bus owners are in a difficult situation and this is not a time to reduce the bus fare. Minister of State for Finance, Shehan Semasinghe, says that instead of continuing traditional methods, Sri Lanka has focused on implementing new tools for rapid economic reform. The minister disclosed the reforms introduced by the government in a meeting with the Assistant Secretary General and Assistant Administrator of the United Nations Development Programme and Regional Director of UNDP's Asia and Pacific Regional Bureau, Mrs. Kanni Vinyaraja, at the Ministry of Finance yesterday. Minister Semasinghe said he had an extensive discussion with the UN official focusing on IMF approval, debt treatment and all other reforms the government introduced. The discussion was held mainly to ascertain whether there are any areas that are delaying the process of obtaining assistance from the International Monetary Fund. According to the minister, the discussion further focused on the potential areas for future support on economic development and the financing from UNDP. The Minister of State for Finance explained how the government is working on debt settlement and all other necessary reforms related to public expenditure for the approval of the International Monetary Fund. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation giving you the news. Continuing with more stories here at home. President Ranil Wickremesinghe has asked chairpersons of loss-making state institutions, Ceylon Petroleum Corporation and Sri Lankan Airlines to justify the payment of bonuses despite the Ministry of Finance having informed not to pay bonuses to loss-making corporations and boards. The President has asked the chairpersons of the 2 institutions for explanations based on a report that they have paid bonuses contrary to the government circulars. The Ceylon Petroleum Corporation has paid 2 months' salaries to its employees and Sri Lankan Airlines has paid 100,000 rupees as bonus to each of its employees, according to the report handed over to the President. Although the Ministry of Finance had notified not to pay bonuses to loss-making institutions through a circular, it is said that bonuses have been paid, showing that the CPC is making profit due to the increase in fuel prices. It is also learnt that CPC has spent 1.2 billion rupees for bonuses, showing profits under a report that did not include the debts of the corporation. According to the report, Ceylon Petroleum Corporation has 4,200 employees and they have been paid 2 months' salary as bonus. The report also states that since there are officials receiving a monthly salary of 500,000 rupees among its top officials, bonuses of 1 million rupees each has been paid for certain officials. There are 5,800 employees of Sri Lankan Airlines and they have been paid 100,000 rupees each as the 13th month salary. Accordingly, 580 million rupees have been spent for this purpose. President Ranil Wickremesinghe has issued an extraordinary Gazette notification on Tuesday extending the declaration of services of health, fuel and power sectors as essential public services. The President has issued the relevant Gazette by virtue of powers vested in him in terms of Section 2 of the Essential Public Services Act No. 61 of 1979. Accordingly, all services connected to the supply of electricity, the supply or distribution of petroleum products and fuel, and all service, work or labour of any description whatsoever, necessary or required to be done in connection with maintenance and the reception, care feeding and treatment of patients in hospitals, nursing homes, dispensaries and other similar institutions are declared as essential services. That's local news for the moment.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Cabinet spokesman and Mass Media Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena said that the proposal presented by Education Minister Susil Premajayantha to introduce a new method of enrolling students in grade 2 to 11 except grade 6 was approved by the Cabinet. The Minister said this while attending the Cabinet press conference held at the Government Information Department yesterday. The Minister said that by further streamlining the current circular arrangements, this new system will be introduced to provide fair and accessible opportunities to all students by identifying the groups that actually need to transfer schools in the intermediate grades. The Minister said the number of children in a classroom has increased to 50 to 55. Due to this, the teachers have not been able to check the books of the students. The Education Ministry receives constant requests in this regard. Accordingly, Minister Dr. Gunawardena said that the current maximum number of students in one class in grades 1 to 5 is 40, and the maximum number of students in one class in grades 6 to 11 is 45. That's the main news story. Moving on to Watch Light shortly.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya. Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
And on Watch Live, the Department of Pension announces that the deadline to submit the life certificates of the pensioners for the year 2023 will be the 31st of January. The department further reminds the pensioners that duly filled life certificates with accurate information should be submitted before the deadline in order to receive the pension continuously. That's on Watch Light. Moving on to world news headlines. China criticizes political rules for its tourists. Winter heat records smashed all over European continent. Vietnamese boy trapped in pillar has limited hope for survival. World news in detail. The Chinese government has suggested that travel restrictions imposed by several countries on Chinese arrivals are politically motivated and has warned that it may retaliate. The US, India and the UK are among the nations that have introduced mandatory testing for arrivals from China. The country has recently seen a surge in COVID cases following the easing of its strict controls, and there are fears that cases and deaths are being vastly underreported. China's last daily COVID update on 24th December reported fewer than 5,000 cases, but some analysts claim the daily caseload is already over 2 million and could peak at almost 4 million this month. Temperatures for January have reached an all-time high in a number of nations across Europe. National records have fallen in 8 countries and regional records in another 3. Warsaw, Poland saw 18.9 Celsius on Sunday, while Bilbao, Spain was 25.1 Celsius, more than 10 Celsius above average. The mild European weather comes as North America faces most severe storms days after a deadly winter cold snap left more than 60 dead. Heavy snow and freezing rain have been forecast for parts of the northern Midwest, while severe thunderstorms and tornadoes are expected in Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Louisiana. But on the European side of the Atlantic, the weather has been balmy for many places at the start of the year. Temperatures in the Netherlands, Liechtenstein, Lithuania, Latvia, Czech Republic, Poland, Denmark and Belarus broke national records. Station records were broken in Germany, France and Ukraine as well. Finally, on world news, there is limited hope of rescuing a 10-year-old Vietnamese boy who has been trapped in a concrete pillar for 3 days, rescuers say. Thai Lai Hao Nam fell into the 12-inch wide shaft of the pillar while looking for scrap metal in southern Vietnam on New Year's Eve. Soldiers and engineering experts have been removing mud and water in an attempt to bring the pillar up. The boy is likely to be badly injured if he does survive, one official said. Hope for him to be alive is limited, said Doan Tambu, a local official in Dong Thap province where the accident happened. Oxygen has been pumped into the 35 meters deep support pillar to help the boy breathe. The 10-year-old was heard crying for help after he fell into the pillar, but rescuers said they received no response from him on Monday as they lowered a camera down to try to locate where he was. Around 100 soldiers and professional equipment have been deployed at the site since Saturday. The area has also been sealed off from the public while the rescue effort takes place. That's on World News.
Development News.
Resettlement Division of the Ministry of Urban Development and Housing says 50 nanotechnology water treatment plants will be installed to control the kidney disease prevalent in the northern province and solve the drinking water problem of the people in those areas. Accordingly, 4 nano water treatment plants will be established in Mullaitivu district and 23 nano water treatment plants will be established each in Kilinochchi and Vavuniya districts. Under the government's concept of providing safe drinking water to all, as per the instructions of the Minister of Urban Development and Housing, Prasanna Ranatunga, the Resettlement Division operating under the ministry is implementing this project together with the Community Water Department. The Resettlement Division says that these nano water treatment plants are capable of purifying about 2,000 litres of water per day.
Sports News is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
India beat Sri Lanka by 2 runs at the first T20 match in the current series played in Mumbai last night. Sri Lanka won the toss and elected to field first. Batting first, India scored 162 runs for the loss of 5 wickets at the end of their allotted 20 overs. In reply, Sri Lanka were all out for 160 at the last ball of the inning. Shivam Mavi impresses on debut as he took 4 Sri Lankan wickets. Deepak Hood was adjudged as the man of the match. In the meantime, Cristiano Ronaldo says his work in Europe is done, but he had many opportunities from other clubs before joining Saudi Arabian side Al Nassr. He joined Al Nassr as a free agent on Friday after leaving Manchester United following a controversial interview in which he criticized the club. The Portugal captain, who's 37, said he had offers from clubs in Brazil, Australia and United States and Portugal. I gave my word for this club, he said at his unveiling on Tuesday. And he also mentioned that he won everything and played for the most important clubs in Europe, and now it is a challenge in Asia. Ronaldo is reportedly set to receive the biggest football salary in history at more than £177 million per year in a deal that runs until 2025. That's on Sports News.
Let us turn this difficult time that we are facing now to a positive opportunity. We must rise up as a nation in 2023. NSB will extend its fullest support for you to rise with confidence. NSB, the safest place for you.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Electric car maker Tesla said it delivered a record 1.3 million vehicles last year, 40% more than in 2021. But the firm, led by billionaire Elon Musk, fell short of Wall Street sales forecasts for the final months of the year. Shares sank more than 12% after its update. In a statement to investors, Tesla said it had to deal with significant COVID and supply chain related challenges throughout the year.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank.
Let us turn this difficult time that we are facing now to a positive opportunity. We must rise up as a nation in 2023. NSB will extend its fullest support for you to rise with confidence. NSB, the safest place for you.
Economic News, courtesy of
LONC Finance is taking the power of innovation to the next level, winning 5 golds at the Technovation Awards 2022, leading the digital revolution with cutting-edge interbanking digital payments. LONC Finance claims the overall gold award whilst also claiming an extraordinary victory in digital banking.
Workers at Microsoft's ZeniMax Studios have voted to form the tech giant's first labor union in the US. Microsoft agreed to recognize the group after a supermajority of workers at the video game production company signaled support for the plan, said the Communications Workers of America Union. ZeniMax owns popular games including The Elder Scrolls and Fallout. It follows an uptick in unionization efforts in the US. Apple, Amazon, and Google are among the other US companies that have seen labor fights in recent years as workers demand more from employers amidst the rising cost of living.
LONC Finance is taking the power of innovation to the next level, winning 2022, leading the digital revolution with cutting-edge interbanking digital payments. LONC Finance claims the overall gold award whilst also claiming an extraordinary victory in digital banking. LONC Finance will continue to innovate with the next generation digitalization of financial services, delivering a superior customer experience.
Weather report.
The Met Department says that a few showers will occur in northern, north central and eastern provinces. Showers or thunder showers will occur at a few places in Sabaragamo province and in Galle and Mathura districts during the afternoon or night. That's the weather update, and before we wind up this bulletin of news, back to the headlines. Dates for calling of nominations for the local government elections will be announced today. All Ceylon Private Bus Owners Association says that though the diesel prices were reduced, it is impossible to reduce the bus fares. Sri Lanka's State Minister of Finance discloses measures taken for rapid economic reforms. The President orders loss-making Sri Lankan airlines and CPC to justify bonus payments. Gazette declaring health, fuel and power essential services extended. Foreign news, China criticizes political rules for its tourists. In sports, India beat Sri Lanka by 2 runs at the first T20 match. And with that, we conclude this bulletin of news.